Hello and welcome to another episode of On The Topic. And this week you're joining us on the orange sofa. I've got my espresso. There you go. Blow your eardrums out there. My glass of water. And I'm ready to talk about what we've been up to. I'm Alex.
I'm ready for a catch-up and I'm supping my tea.
Here's. There you go.
I'm Dan.
Beautiful. And we wanted to have a bit of a summer break catch-up. Been a couple of weeks. We're at the cinema, weren't we?
Yep.
Last week watching the Meg to the Trench, but we haven't really had a catch up in that episode, so we thought we'd have a bit of a chat. So you can join us on the sofa. We can discuss what's been going on for the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Can't quite catch up really when you're on the go.
No, you can't, because you're all about business. It's getting to the cinema. It's watching your film, and it's being analytical.
And trying to survive the roads, which we discovered outside the ferry port, trying to cross to Gunwharf.
Indeed. Very busy. Very busy.
It was. Shout out to the Kia Sportage again.
Yeah, the absolute legend.
Hero. Got pointed out by one of our listeners. Shout out to that legend in the Kia Sportage for letting you cross the road.
Yeah.
What a hero.
What an absolute ledge.
So Alex, what have you been up to? I mean, I know what you've been up to.
Yeah.
But I don't quite know what you've been doing in that time where you've been away.
Yeah. Not terribly much, Dan. Not at least from a podcast perspective. So we as a family were very lucky we travelled to Southeast Asia. Of course, we've both been there a couple of times before, haven't we?
Yes.
So we flew to Malaysia, spent a good amount of time there in Kuala Lumpur, which is lovely. And then went to Indonesia, to Bali, what I like to call now paradise. Bali's phenomenal.
Have you been?
I haven't been before. You haven't been?
No.
Yeah, it's lovely. I mean, a lot of people go to Bali and go, yeah, man, so cool, so chilled. I don't like those people.
Are they the sort of people that go, oh, I'm going to go find myself?
Yeah, those ones.
Yeah, I saw a lot of those when I was travelling. This is many years ago, 2008. I went around Asia, New Zealand, and you do come across some questionable people.
Well, there was plenty of people who were there to find themselves, but just so happened to be in the bougie coffee shops and the lovely restaurants. So
Good word there, bougie.
Yeah. I used to write it in the right context, right?
You did, yeah.
At least I think I did. Down with the kids. And that's not really how you go find yourself. Going and find yourself, as I understand it, is you go rough it with the locals and you get all spiritual. You can get spiritual over an espresso, don't get me wrong, and I'm doing it now. But that's not really in the spirit of things. But anyway, it is beautiful. The people are genuinely the nicest. They're friendly. You go to some countries, and understandably, we've got, thankfully, regardless of what way you look at our economy or state of affairs in this country, we've got a very strong currency. So our money does tend to go a little bit further in other countries. It goes a long way over that side of the world. But you don't get the sense that people are being nice to you because they want a tip, where some countries you do. Generally, they are laid back.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it. It was lovely. Very green, very luscious. Food is delicious. And I love an egg, Dan. They bloody love an egg.
They do.
They top everything off with a fried egg, and it's delightful. It's so simple. Anyway, so yes, we ate too much and had too many lovely lagers.
Saw some of your food pictures. You'd send me them over WhatsApp. I'll be just starting work. I'm a little bit jealous.
Yeah, fried rice with a bit of slather of beef. It was delicious. And then we finished off in Singapore, which is just a fun city. So Universal Studios, lots of rides, big old aquariums, zoos, you name it. So yeah, very fortunate, very lucky, and yeah, not too much of the old entertainment, digital entertainment, because you don't really do that on holiday, do you? Swimming pools and
3 weeks of glorious fun.
Yeah,
you don't have time to squeeze that stuff in.
No, very lucky. But what I did do was enjoy some films on the plane. I did enjoy another visit to John Wick 4.
Yes.
You haven't seen the ending yet, have you?
No, I really struggled with John Wick 4. Got about halfway through and I just had to turn it off. It just wasn't really drawing my attention in. No.
I think the pacing's off, definitely, and I'm confused by the ending. So listen, if you know what that was all about and what's going on, let us know, because I haven't an absolute clue, because apparently they're talking about John Wick 5. Naturally, you would. That's the most I'll say about it because you haven't seen it. But I'll be keen for anyone who has thoughts and opinions on how that ends. Let us know. But I'll watch that again.
Could see Keanu Reeves doing a Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is so invested in these Mission Impossible films, he's ready to go until he's 80. Could Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves do the same?
No, definitely. I think he could. And, the Wick series will have plenty of spin-offs. So the Continental, I think, is out this autumn. I think it's been unaffected by the writer's strike because that's out soon. Have you seen that? The hotel?
No. Is it a film or a series?
No. It's a limited series, 3 or 4-parter, and it's effectively what's the guy? It's just a hotel manager. Can't remember his name in the series. English guy. Used to play Lovejoy. Anyone who's old enough to know what that is, back in the 90s. Ian McShane.
That's it.
If anyone knows of him, he's basically a younger version of him. It's how he got into the hotel.
That's cool.
And it's a world of assassins. It's really looks really good. I think that's out in the autumn. And there'll be loads of more spin-offs. So I'm sure Keanu will be around for many years, which is great. Because he's, 53? 52?
Yeah, he's got plenty of years in it.
Yeah, he's fair enough. And I watched The Secrets of Dumbledore.
Yeah, the third and final part of the Fantastic Beasts trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's been listening to us for a while now, you know that we both sullied that name. Well, no, we didn't personally sully it. The name has been sullied somewhat because it's just absolute garbage. But I looked at it and I thought, well, there's no other time I'm going to watch it. I don't want my Netflix or my Prime account or my Disney. It would be Disney, to be Warner Brothers. I wouldn't want my accounts ever to be associated with that film because the algorithms would go, "Oh, you like this? I'll show you more crap."
Yeah.
No, I don't want it. So I watched it on the plane, and it was okay. It was a lot better than the second one.
It rescues the second one. I mean, I always...
So. Did you watch it, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, you have seen it?
I championed the first one because I thought it was really good. It was something...
It has some really solid foundations, yeah.
And then they brought the second one out and the story just dumped.
Bombed.
Horrendous.
It had some really interesting nuggets, but I think they probably should have done a blend of between the beginning of 2 and probably the beginning of 3.
Yeah.
And that in itself would have made a decent second outing because it eased you into the darkness of that film and that universe, and then do what you want for what will be 3. But yeah, they just ruined it far too quickly. I don't think Depp was the right casting, personally. So yeah, I watched that, and that's about it really, Dan. Because on the planes you sleep and you eat garbage food that tastes delicious because your nostrils don't work. We'll talk about facts in the next episode. When you're up that high at 40,000 feet and it's pressurised, your nostrils and your taste buds don't work together.
I am looking forward to that 13-hour trip to Tokyo next year.
Yeah, that's going to be full of fart and despair and the rest of it.
Yeah. If anyone really listens, so I'm only going to Tokyo because my other half got a place in Tokyo Marathon. She found out quite recently and get all over the world really with her running, which is brilliant for me. I get to see the world, see a bit of culture, and Tokyo is one of those places I want to go for a long time.
Very chill. Very chill. So yes, you got lovely plain food and the rest of it to look forward to. Screaming kids. That's me, Dan. Very, very lucky, but not too pop culture. How about you? What have you been up to?
Well, I had a lot of time to kill, to be honest. So lots of Disney Plus, bit of gaming, lots of podcasts, and we've got something from the listener.
Oh yeah.
So I recently dived into Disney Plus. So my half went away for the weekend to see her mum in Ireland, and I dived into The Bear. Right.
Yes, you briefly told me about this, but yeah, tell our listeners in case they haven't caught up with this.
Yeah. So it stars Jeremy Allen White, Ebon Moss Backrack. I think I've done that justice. Ayo Edebiri, Abby Elliott, and Lionel Boyce. So relatively unknown cast to me.
Yes.
Excuse me. But every now and again you get the odd cameo. And one of them was Olivia Colman.
Okay.
And the other one was
Academy Award winner.
Will
Poulter.
Will Poulter, yeah. Sort of in season 2. And I was like, oh wow. Like just out of the blue. And they do such a phenomenal job. But to give you a synopsis, a young chef from the fine dining world comes home to Chicago to run his family sandwich shop after a heartbreaking death in his family. A world away from what he's used to, Kami must balance the soul-crushing realities of small business ownership, His strong-willed and recalcitrant, I think I've done that word justice, kitchen staff and his strained familial relationships, all whilst grappling with the impact of his brother's suicide.
Oh.
As Kami fights to transform both the shop and himself, he works alongside a rough, around-the-edges kitchen crew that ultimately reveals itself as his chosen family. It's doing really well on Rotten Tomatoes. So both seasons of The Bear have received widespread critical acclaim, and on the review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes, the overall series holds a 99% approval rating.
Bloody hell. That's good, isn't it?
The acting's brilliant. So the guy who plays Kami, I want to say it's the season finale of season 1, and he goes to one of those, the groups where you talk, sit down in front of people.
Oh, yeah.
You just unload. And the camera is just on him for probably what feels like 10 minutes, and he's just talking. And the facial expressions are just on point.
What, a continuous shot kind of thing?
It's just a continuous shot. Wow. It doesn't cut to anything. It's just focus. It's just like me looking at you as I am right now.
Sexy. Oh, it's not supposed to be sexy.
No.
Different kind of vibe. Okay.
It's quite chaotic. So I mean, if you are an anxious person, it's probably going to be a bit of an overload.
Okay.
I mean, I'm quite happy to sit there and watch it. I mean, I binged about 4 or 5 episodes one evening when Claire wasn't around.
Oh, wow.
But it's brilliant. It's so good. So if you haven't dived into The Bear...
No, it's on my watch list.
I can't sell it. I can only tell you that the acting is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's so good. So go check that out.
Well, speaking of Disney Plus, Dan, I was in Singapore, and as you're walking through, they love a shopping centre, Singapore. Do you ever go to Singapore? Do you get that far?
No, I've been to China, Thailand, Vietnam and Laos.
Okay, so not in that region, just not too far out. So they love a shopping centre.
They do,
and they do the high street phenomenally. And they have food courts in there, so you can. It's basically like for Portsmouth, it's outside in kind of vibe. So you've got different stalls, you all eat together, like communally. It's a lovely idea, and you've got loads of delicious things to buy and purchase. It's all relatively cheap. Anyway, on the digital displays. They were promoting this TV program, and there was South Korean actors, people jumping distances, lightning coming out of hands. Like, what's all this about? And the music was booming over the nearby speakers, drawing naturally the attention. And it was called Moving. And it's a Korean-speaking English subtitle, of course, unless you know Korean, program, and it's effectively a slightly edgier version of Heroes, Dan. And it follows, and I'm not spoiling because it's the first 5 minutes, it follows predominantly the main character who goes to a high school. All these kids end up being at high school, or the same high school. And this child, you see his backstory as the episodes progress, he can fly, but it's not as though he can fly on a whim like most portrayals of superheroes. He finds himself floating.
Oh shit!
So he has to laden himself up with school books and eats extra dinner and breakfast. His mum's in on it. She's already known this, from when he was a baby, and he has to eat lots more food, so he's heavier. So he doesn't end up flying off, and it gets worse when he gets anxious or when he gets excited. Or when he falls in love, and there's a new girl who starts school. She's got powers, but I don't quite know yet. I'm in episode 3, and whenever he sees her, his feet start to rise off the floor, and comically he's hugging his desk, and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" He's like, "No, nothing. I'm just sleeping." And obviously, that you can see that the shot goes under the table, and his feet are just floating off the floor, and he's desperately trying to get back. It's quite heartwarming, but it's got an edge to it, and there's someone then hunting down government people with powers. So there is that Heroes-esque riff of, the man with the horn-rimmed glasses and Sylar and the rest of it. But I'm really quite enjoying it. If you're looking for something uplifting, this ain't it. It is dark and edgy. It's quite comical in places. But I don't know whether that's because we don't quite get Southeast Asia, Asian cultural tropes or societal interactions, and whether it's supposed to be funny, I don't know. Some of it comes across as quite slapstick, which I think in any language you understand, But anyway, I'm really quite getting into it. It's a slow burn. So if you're looking for high paced, it's not. The Tim Kring heroes will not hit the mark. But for this, look for something different. Fancy doing a bit of reading whilst you're enjoying, then I can highly recommend Moving. That's on Disney Plus now, but it hasn't really been widely publicised, I guess, over here, at least anyway. I haven't seen anything. So yeah, I can recommend that, Dan. Fancy a bit of something different.
It's all subtitles, is it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. Very good.
I might have to jump on that.
I would.
Check
So
that
put it on your list.
there.
Yeah.
The second one that me and the missus I've been diving into. Actually, this was something that she recommended me. Came up on her Instagram. You get fed all the bullshit that you want to see, blah blah blah. And she said, "You need to see this." So she sent me the trailer through Instagram one day at work. And look, it's called Only Murders in the Building.
Ah, yes.
3 seasons, starring Steve Martin and Martin Short, who have done quite a lot of work together,
Right? Yeah.
over the years, especially through the 90s. And then you throw in Selena Gomez into the mix.
Unexpected.
3 strangers share an obsession with true crime and suddenly find themselves wrapped up in one. When a grisly death occurs inside their exclusive Upper West Side, put my teeth in there, apartment building, the trio suspects murder and employs their precise knowledge of true crime to investigate the truth. Perhaps even more explosive are the lies they tell one another.
Oh.
Soon, the endangered trio come to realise a killer might be living among them as they race to decipher the mounting clues before it's too late. So it's an unlikely trio. As I say, Steve Martin and Mark Shaw have done a lot of work together in the past.
Yeah.
And then you've got Selena Gomez. So you think, this shouldn't work. But they all riff off each other so really well as actors. Season 1's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
No.
Season 2 got 98%.
Wow.
And season 3 is currently at 99%. And season 3 has Paul Rudd in it.
And how many episodes does each season have, roughly?
I think it's 10 episodes, and they're all roughly about 30 minutes long.
All right.
But it's also in the guise of a podcast, I suppose. But you're sort of watching it. But when it cuts to the bit where it gives you the title of the episode, it has the time. So me and the missus were like, I wonder if that's the time of where the episode is. So we paused it when this thing came up, and it is. So if you ever pick up, Alex, when you get the episode title, pause it, and it shows the time on the podcast.
Right.
And when you look at the time when you've paused it, it's exactly the same.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's quite clever. I know that's such a tiny little detail to notice, but it's really good.
It sounds like it's a show that's got a notice detail. It sounds like it's nailed it even in the show running.
It doesn't take itself too seriously. I mean, there's a lot of humour, not too much drama, but it gives you just enough to sort of flesh out the characters, so you get a bit of a backstory for them, and it's really good.
Oh, wow.
Highly recommend it if you haven't checked it out. Only Murders in the Building. It's on Disney Plus, and I think season 3 is dropping an episode every Tuesday, I want to say.
Okay.
We haven't quite caught up yet, but I think we're about 2 episodes into season 3. It's really good. Proper whodunit as well.
Yeah.
And each story leads on to another one.
Because I don't think we talked about these, but the Glass Onion, the last one, or the what was the other one before? The Knives Out. I love that. And Daniel Craig, you think, should not work, and yet he does as a Texan. Although the accent kind of falters at times, but otherwise, it just the storylines are fantastic. And actually, I think that has done a lot to get people reinterested, because I wouldn't say it's quite so niche as other genres, but it is relatively niche in the modern world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because obviously it's one of the oldest kind of storytelling types. But yeah, it's an interesting kind of genre that I think is coming back. So I might take a look at that. It's a good shout.
Yeah, do it. Mrs. might enjoy it as well.
Yeah, maybe. Probably not. There's not enough 90s chick flick aspects, but I can always try on episode 1 and see what she thinks.
It's got Selena Gomez, and it gives it a bit of a chick flick element, I suppose.
Did she start off with Disney? Was she a Disney girl?
Yes, yeah, she was.
Try that angle, couldn't I?
Try and do it. Yeah. Try and get her into it. If not, you've got plenty to binge there.
There is, yes, most definitely.
If you've enjoyed Knives Out and The Glass Onion, certainly enjoy this.
Okay.
For sure.
Perfect.
I've had a bit of time to game.
Oh, good luck. Good.
I've finally finished Spider-Man 2018.
I was getting there.
It's phenomenal. I haven't done the side quests yet,
No, you don't have to.
but the storyline's just brilliant.
It is, isn't it?
And I know we recently did our favourite bosses from computer games. I'd like to change it from the Kingpin.
Nope. To Doc.
No, I was going to say the final battle with Mr. Negative.
What was the set
Why.
piece on that? I can't remember it.
Everything goes negative.
Yeah.
And it
Yes,
turns
you're in
into
the
a
room.
big-ass demon.
Yes, you're in the room and they've got all the other kind of followers and you're in some kind of... Is he... Not an alternate universe or something, is it? Or he's unconscious? That is a really good... Because you've got all your gadgets at that point then.
Yeah.
And you could just basically kick the shit out of so many enemies that are on screen. It's. I think, yeah, you're right, actually, thinking about it. It's a culmination of the whole game, and naturally it would be, but yeah, that's a good shout.
Don't get me wrong, the Doc Ock one is fun, but Mr. Negative, I mean...
You're stuck on a rooftop though, I mean, there's only so much you can really do.
And then you're punching the shit out of him whilst you're, like, on the wall towards the end, but yeah.
Nice suit though.
Yeah.
The black and the yellow.
Black and yellow.
Black and yellow. Anyway, yeah.
But yeah, really good. Very much enjoyed. I will go back to do the side quest at some point, but I did start Miles Morales. So I traded some of my games, got some new ones. As you saw, I got Uncharted.
Yeah, it's so good.
1 to 3. 1 to 3.
The games are so good. I picked up a couple of years ago and I started at the beginning and thought, oh, this game's like 12 years old. It isn't going to age well. Fucking does. All right. It looks a bit boxy at times, but the gameplay is great. There's only a couple of inputs. There's a shoot, there's a run, there's an interact button, there's a jump. But you don't need anything else. And then the second one is light years better, and the third one is great. And I think I'm on the 4. Is it 4? Yeah, which is a thieves ending or something. I haven't finished that yet, but that is glorious. That's beautiful.
I haven't had a chance to dive into them yet, but I did start
storylines.
Miles Morales. And to my shock, Alex, Peter Parker, or Spider-Man, or the face of John Bubniak, was replaced by Ben Jordan.
I don't like it.
Shit. He just doesn't have that friendly face. Do you know what I mean?
No, I do. The old actor's face was the everyman. This sounds harsh because of the way he looks, but he looks like an average guy, an average Joe, and that's what Peter Parker is in the comics. But we've got now this polished, young, supermodel-esque, good-looking guy. And you're thinking, that's not what it's about.
He's like a hybrid of Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland.
Is that a baby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love child.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, John Bubniak had that face that looked like I know he's not probably being a bit harsh, but he's an average Joe. But he had that friendly face that looked like he could mentor a Miles Morales, whereas this new face looks a lot younger. It doesn't sort of really fit the mould.
No.
It's almost like Sony wanted someone that would suit their narrative, that would sort of draw on the films, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
It's not for me.
No. But one of the things I did like about the game, I mean, I say it's only, I think we were saying it's about a third of of Spider-Man 2018, but it's the mechanics.
Yeah, I mean, they could have easily just rehashed the first game, reskinned it, because you've already got the suits to just have a resuit of Miles, but it didn't. And actually, I think that's kudos to Insomniac for doing that, because they did quality over quantity, and they weren't shy to say, well, actually, because I don't think it was a full price game when it first came out. It was well priced of what it is, and they said, yeah, well, this is a shorter game, but it's still quality, and it really does feel like they've actually designed a game for the gamer. They haven't just gone, well, we're going to do much the same maps, the same key plot points, the same kind of landmarks. They've actually made it tailored to Miles.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they should be celebrated for that.
It's really good. I mean, the map's all very similar, but they've given it a nice layer of a wintry New York, which is really good. And I suppose the physique of Miles is very different to
Yes.
Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So the way he web slings is different.
More
and his
nimble
physique,
and
he's sort of,
almost clumsy at times.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really enjoyable because, of course, he's only just sort of finding his feet as a Spider-Man. And the other thing I quite liked, actually, it's not Ned, is it? What's his guy in the chair's name?
Is it not Ned?
I don't know if it's Ned. No.
Oh, Genki?
Genki, yeah. I quite like that element as well. And the fact that he feeds you missions through this sort of like radio thing, and the way you bring up your missions, you have to sort of like slide across the pad on the controller. That's really different. It's not like Spider-Man 2018. You pause the game, you go into your missions, you have to highlight on the map and all that stuff. You swipe, it gives you the list, and then you choose it, and it brings up on the map for you. It's really cool.
No, I like
just
it.
Something slightly different, slightly tweaks it. It's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to Spider-Man 2 when that comes out next year.
Should be good.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, Dan, I've been playing games myself, but this sort of PC variety, so we can perhaps not alienate our PC gaming guys, and share. I've been playing Dave the Diver. Now, I showed you this a couple of moments ago on the old laptop, but for those of you who haven't heard of it, it's on Steam. It's overwhelmingly positive as a rating. You have got to be careful with ratings. So people already review bombing Starfield. That's not even out yet because they can't access because they're PlayStation gamers and the rest of it. But it's been a good couple of months now, and I thought I'm gonna have a look at this. It's targeted me on the old social advertising, and I don't know why I like it, Dan, but it's so good. The premise is you're an old diver who's come back into the business to run a sushi restaurant, and there's a day and night cycle, and you do 2 dives during the day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and your life bar is your oxygen. You can upgrade your oxygen tanks and your suit and your harpoon gun, but effectively the very basic premise is you go out and you catch fish, and then when you go back at the end of the cycle, either you run out of oxygen, you need to return to the boat, or that you near die, you then cook that fish in the evening to punters. And it's a pixel style game, although it does that injustice really, and there's loads of mini games. So when you go to your restaurant, you choose the menu, and then you get ratings on. So people take pictures of their food, and people know about it, and you get more people spending money. And you pour people green tea and beer. There's a mini game doing that to make sure you've got the perfect head on the beer. It's very well thought of. It doesn't take itself seriously. The music's wonderfully calming. And yeah, there's other things in this. There's side missions. So someone will say, I need you to collect X amount of colourful shells, or I've got a special recipe. Go get the ingredients. And there is an end game to it. There is a mission based or a storyline, but it's all tongue in cheek. It's all very silly. But it's one of those games where you'll start playing and you come up for air, every pun intended, and 4 hours has passed. You're like, what has happened there? It's such a good game. I can't recommend it highly enough. I don't know why I like it, which in itself doesn't sound like a very good recommendation, but it's a really enjoyable game.
Sounds quite therapeutic.
I think it is. Because you're underwater, swimming and catching fish, and it's wonderfully paced. Yeah, I think it's a great title.
I mean, when you were showing me, actually, the graphics are really good. I mean, there's very sort of standard pixelated characters, but actually the background,
and the depth
is so good.
It's very colourful, very colourful. If you're playing at night, which is not great for your eyes, it definitely gets you into the mood.
You need to get the warm screen on.
That's right.
Give your eyes a rest.
But yeah, otherwise, that was. I haven't been doing much over the last 3 weeks apart from just lazing by a pool. But when I did come home, that's what I played, and I can thoroughly recommend.
How did you pick it up, by the way?
Adverts, social media, and also it kind of gets recommended. I don't know why, because there's nothing that is similar to that game. Apparently there is though, in my Steam collection. But yeah, Steam recommended it, and it's not the cheapest of Steam games. It is a new title, so of course it's going to carry a higher cost. It's $34.99 or something, which is quite expensive for a Steam game these days. But it's well worth the cost.
I thought you were going to tell me it was going to be Baldur's Gate when
No.
you said you got a PC game.
Definitely not. But of course, I'm waiting out for Starfield.
Yes.
At the end of the month.
Can't afford it, unfortunately, especially with Tokyo coming up.
No, indeed.
Might put it on the Christmas wish list, but my brother's sort of raving about it.
It's going to be a doozy. It's going to be great.
It looks phenomenal. I mean, I'm a Skyrim fan. Couldn't really get into Fallout, unfortunately, but yeah, Starfield.
No, I couldn't get into Fallout. It's almost like, you know, those games that you play and you're really in depth and you love it, and you put it down and years go by and then you pick it back up and you go, I'll just continue my save game. And there's so much going on, you just don't know what to do or where to go or what the buttons are. I felt that immediately playing Fallout 3.
Yeah.
And you could say, well, Alex, you know, that's because you're spoon-fed how to play games these days, and it's not a simple tutorial, and that's what it's supposed to be like. But I still say that a game shouldn't drop you in it, and then you're just left adrift.
Yeah.
It should help you to guide you through and ease you into it. Fallout doesn't. And I understand why it's good. I can see it has great potential, but I just couldn't get on board.
I think I picked up 4 when it first came out. Oh God, this is years ago now. 2015, I want to say. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did have a bit of fun playing it, but it's just I didn't get the whole like you have to build like a big fucking piece of shit of armor, like just to wade through like toxic wastelands. I didn't get it.
No.
And I used to like go into buildings. I'll get butchered by the next biggest beast that's like in there. I was like, I can't get on board. Whereas Skyrim was quite simple. You go around, hack and slash, beat the shit out of thieves, build a house, and fight dragons.
Simpler time then.
Skyrim, beautiful. Love that game. I mean, it's got so many iterations out now where they've
modded it to eyeballs.
Yeah. I mean, I think on the Switch now you can play as Link from Zelda or get the gear.
Wow.
So yeah, good stuff. So been binging a lot of podcasts.
Oh yeah.
So one of them that I dived into, I say recently, I've been listening for a little while now. It's called Films to be Buried with Brett Goldstein. And if you're a fan of Ted Lasso, he is the man that plays Roy Kent, and he's also going to be Hercules and Thor.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Thor 5, I guess. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the synopsis is: we are born, we die, in between watch a lot of films, and some of these films shape the people we are. This is a podcast about those films and a bit about death.
Bleak.
Join comedian, actor, writer and swimmer Brett Goldstein and an extra special weekly guest as they go all the way into life and death by the way of movies to ultimately pick their films to be buried with. Of course, at the end, they can only choose one film that they get to be buried with, but it's brilliant.
Okay.
So they sort of open up, they have a chat like we usually do, and then Brett Goldstein turns and goes, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. I'm so sorry, but you died."
Oh.
And he's like, "How did you die?" And then they have to think up something creative of how they died, and then they talk about films. And some of the questions, it's always the same structure, but some of the questions are quite funny. You know, what film gave you like an awkward boner?
Oh,
that's probably not the way I worded it.
Wow.
But what's the sexiest film you've watched? Or
yeah.
What's the film that gave you an awkward? You know.
I can give you the answer.
Go
on. True Lies.
Don't think I've ever seen it.
What? That's in my 90s film, Volume 2. True Lies. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a spoof on the spy action film, but in itself is a bona fide action film. And it's all about Harry, who is, to his family, is a boring like salesman, but he is like the best super spy ever. And Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh yes.
And she's in it, and there's a couple of sexier scenes, and young Alex at the age of 10, 11, 12. I was like, oh, what? That's my overshare.
Maybe we should just start stealing other podcasts.
Maybe.
Structures.
I don't need to relive this.
Films to be buried with Alex and Dan.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe we should do off menu with Alex and Dan.
Right,
We'll
okay.
talk about our dream menu. So that's another podcast I've been binging lately.
I do like off menu.
Yeah, a bit of Ed Gamble and James A. Caster. If you haven't dived into this, listener, highly recommend. Comedians Ed Gamble and James A. Caster invite special guests into their magical restaurant to each choose their favourite starter, main course, side dish, dessert and drink. Ever wanted to eat your dream meal? It's time to order off menu.
It is very good.
Alex,
Very funny.
Poppadoms or bread?
Probably warm bread straight from the oven.
I'm going to go for
salted butter.
I'm going to go for exciting poppadoms.
Yeah.
Just to start, nice and light, bit of crunch, get some dips.
Lovely.
Highly recommend off menu, but I'm a big fan. I quite like that James A. Caster's a genie.
Yes. He's he plays the role well. And it's just not about them reciting what their favourite food is, about the whole situation. It's who are they with and where are they? And it could be anywhere in the world or in their dreams. And then they invariably, there's a lot of dust there, they invariably talk about, whoever's on there, what their latest book is or latest film. So it's more than just that.
Yeah.
It's really good.
They always do a crossover with Brett Goldstein, actually, so they have appeared a few times on each other's podcast. And talking of podcasts, shout out to my mate Dickie, who I used to work with a long time ago in the supermarkets.
Oh, right.
Him and his mate Adam have started up a podcast called Sharp Shooting the Breeze, which is a wrestling podcast. So if you are into wrestling, definitely check them out. I've listened to the first 2 episodes and it's very funny, very insightful.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So they are sort of diving into a lot of the past as well. So they're talking about like the Monday Night Wars, WWF versus WCW.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really good. Which has actually come at the right time. Actually, my interest in WWE's peaked again. I went off it for years, and they've started doing some really good storylines. And I've sort of started diving back in, watching Raw, SmackDown. I watched SummerSlam actually while you were away. That was fun. Long 4 hours. Put my teeth in this morning. I don't know what's going on with me. What's happening?
You need that coffee, that sweet coffee here.
Yeah. So yeah, go check those 2 out. I think there's going to be a lot of more exciting things to come from those 2. Not quite haven't based. They are haven't based. Not quite Portsmouth, but just up the road.
In our neck of the woods.
It's a PO postcode, right?
Yeah, it is. Everything is at the minute, but yeah.
Again, music. Go check out Hot Milk, an album called Call to the Void that came out on Friday.
Oh, right.
Bit of an odd mixture of pop, rock. They've got sort of songs that sound like Stand Atlantic, and then stuff that's a bit like Prodigy.
Okay.
Very, very odd mixture.
It's a little bit different to what they're... Because I think I got into them, or at least I was interested in the first album when you mentioned it, when we first started this podcast, I guess. But it sounds like it's very much different to what that is. Bands they do evolve and change, but it does sound quite different.
It's quite leery, very emotional.
Okay.
Which was quite like. It's a good one to listen to. And Yellow Card have made a resurgence. They've got an EP out called Childhood Eyes. The single from that same title. Very good. Highly recommend.
Interesting.
So yeah, 2 music recommendations from the last 3 weeks. So go check those out.
Beautiful.
Over to the listener, Alex.
Oh, right. Yes, we do have some listener interaction for this one.
It comes from Lewis. He says, "Hi guys, I've started listening to the pod after having it recommended by my other half, Lauren, who I believe works with Dan. I can confirm. And
Shout out to Lauren and Lewis.
Also, Lewis, I'm really sorry. I might have inadvertently invited myself to your wedding.
What?
Yeah, I don't know how that came about. It just happened.
Okay.
I might have inadvertently invited us as a podcast.
Do I get an invite?
Possibly.
That'd be amazing.
Could you imagine doing a live podcast at
well, we can't do it during the speeches. You've got to wait until the end.
Yeah.
But perhaps just before they break out, when everyone's finished up their eating and about to break open the DJ and they're getting the whole set up, we could do it then, couldn't we?
I mean, I don't know what the pod's
interview
going to be
DJ, couldn't we?
We could. Are we inadvertently pitching
with wedding crashing a wedding? Be a first for the podcast. That'd be amazing.
I'm so sorry, Lewis.
I'm not. Sounds great. Make it happen, Lewis. I'll wait for my invite.
I'm apologetic, but at the same time, it's going to happen.
On the topic podcast at gmail.com. Send it across. Don't waste paper. Send a digital invite over to us, and we'll gladly accept.
Tell us what you want us to do.
Send us a gift list. We'll see what we can do. Yeah.
Put it out to the listeners.
Crowdfund Lauren and Lewis's wedding gift.
Yeah. I think, speaking to Lauren, he wants to go to Tokyo as well. So
right.
I think he's probably going to be a bit devastated when he learns in this podcast that that's on my agenda next year.
Well, if you're...
Can we crowdfund a honeymoon for them to Tokyo?
If you're gate crashing his wedding, then it's only right that he gate crashes your holiday to Tokyo.
Yeah. That's fine.
There you go.
I've solved it. I can't afford to take you, Lewis, but I mean you're more than welcome to join us.
Yeah.
I will need some company while the missus is running the marathon. So
indeed,
we could go to Disney. They've got one in Tokyo, haven't they?
I think they do. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, we digress from wedding crashing and crowdfunding. One of the episodes I've listened to recently was the unpopular opinions one from 2018. Good episode, and also very unpopular. Aptly named, I have to say some of your opinions on Star Trek really had my head spinning in frustration.
Great.
That's on you, Alex.
Yes.
All opinions are valid, of course.
They are.
This is the second attempt I've made to send this email. The first draft was long and had loads of points raised, but Outlook decided to delete it. Always the way, isn't it? And it was sending, so I lost the draft. What I'll do instead is condense it into a few bullet points to save typing it all out again. So, Alex, are you ready for a fight?
We can have disagreements, and that's just the wonderful point of this podcast, is people can have different opinions. I love it. So let's hear it.
Are you going to break down each point, or should we just go through all the points and then you can just have your say?
Let's hear what Lewis has to say.
So, Discovery. Discovery is not a good show. The characters are childish and don't come across like adults. The new galactic super Jesus Burnham I can't get on with. The retconned Spock backstory as Burnham's brother was illogical and made no sense. Hated it. Recent Trek, except for Picard, always goes backwards in the canon. Always retconning the story. Go forward and tell a new story. Burnham must cry. Bored of it.
Let's have a look at these points. Because I think he talks about DS9, doesn't he? So, Discovery... It's not a great show now. I think seasons 1 and 2 were. Season 2 was brilliant. Whether or not they actually mean it to look like... we're going proper Star Trek here, so it might be aliens to people. But the whole AI section, was it 41? I really liked. And then you had kind of the pre-Pike Strange New Worlds. I thought seasons 1 and season 2 were really good because actually tonally they were different and not what we expected. From there, totally agree, Lewis. It's not a good show, but in my defence, I think that was pre-season 1 when I was talking about. Maybe season 2.
I know you did some episodes sort of very early on
when
we started as a podcast solo. It's not often we do solo episodes. I've done a couple. It's quite a lonely...
it's a lonely existence, for sure.
It is. It's kind of weird talking on your own at nobody but a microphone.
That's radio for you, mate.
It doesn't work for me.
No. Although you have been on
Discovery. Yeah, you did I think 3 episodes by the looks of things.
I mean, characters maybe childish. They're definitely not mature as perhaps the other series. It's just different. But it's fair enough it doesn't come across particularly well. Don't disagree with Burnham, who's the main character, so it's a female lead. And they do want to make her, I guess, more emotional, I guess more relatable perhaps, than the strong-willed captain of old series. And she does cry an awful lot too much perhaps, in fact. And yeah, the last season, or later season, I think people will be happy that it's ended on season, was it 4 or 5? So yeah, I don't disagree, as it did get worse as it went on. But I think it had some promise, but they ended up finding themselves running out of space and time, literally, because they went into the future. And whilst you can tell some interesting stories there, they're kind of falling under their feet as they're writing, if that makes any sense, Dan. So in Star Trek as we know it, there are certain things established, certain aliens, certain warring factions, certain recognisable planets or species or battles, but they've gone so far in the future, it's almost like a different show. But Star Trek all but in name, and it kind of doesn't really work. They've gone too far, I think, literally and figuratively. So, seasons 1 and 2 I think were good. 2 peaked, and then you had Pike for the Enterprise and Strange New Worlds, which in itself is a fantastic show.
Yeah.
And obviously it can be a conversation with me and Lewis if we want later. But latter seasons I don't disagree. Not great.
He talks about DS9. He's bullet pointed, a great show. Never gets a fair slice of the Trek pie. That's a great analogy. The story is compelling. Comparing it to TNG is unfair. TNG, what's TNG, Alex?
Next Generation.
Oh,
so this
yes,
is Captain Picard.
Oh, I remember.
Yep.
TNG and Voyager had bad first seasons. DS9 seems to get more flack. It doesn't feel like Star Trek. Well, everyone said that about TNG when it first aired.
Yeah.
I mean, when did TNG first air? I remember it was sort of like, what, mid-90s?
Was it 89?
God knows.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I remember watching Next Generation as a kid. I quite enjoyed it. I mean, I'm an original Trekkie fan, let's be honest. William Shatner and Nimoy. I liked that as a kid. I enjoyed those. There's characters development. The story is interesting once it gets going. Storylines from other Trek series: The Changelings,
Yep.
Picard, The Domination War, Picard, Section 31, Picard, Discovery, Into Darkness, are all DS9 storylines.
Yeah.
It just needs to be given a chance. Anyway, keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully speak soon. Kind regards, Lewis. Any thoughts on those DS9 points?
Fair. I think just tonally, it didn't really resonate with me. I think I mentioned this before. There's this string going through in the middle, which is, like Messiah, prophet type issue with Bajor. The Cardassians was a really interesting aspect, which then plays all throughout the whole arc of, the 9 seasons or something. There are good aspects. For me, there was just more bad. But hey, it's horses for courses, right? It's not for everyone. I don't disagree. Actually, it does get a lot more flack than some of the other series. And perhaps with it all being on Paramount Plus, I'll probably end up rewatching it, and then I'll see when my opinions change in the last 30 years. I guess that sounds really old, Lewis. And then perhaps we can have a chinwag over a beer once you've been married, and we can then have a dance on the dance floor.
I don't know when their wedding is, to be honest. But I mean, Lewis is always more than welcome to join us for a beer, I think. They go to Stag Me Good.
There you go.
So, Lewis, I'm a craft beer fan. I'll probably meet you at Staggers at some point. Feel like I've known you and Lauren forever, and I've actually only met Lauren twice.
There you go.
Yeah.
Magic.
Just like that. But that wraps up for our catch-up episode.
It does.
What we got coming up, Alex? September's a busy one. I think we've already got that mapped out.
We have, yeah. Mind-blowing facts are next. Things that we are going to be sharing with you that it's very difficult to get your brain around, really, isn't it?
Yes, so that's coming up next. We'll be doing the Meg 2 wrap-up. So we'll do a big review. Yes.
We've done the on the go in the last episode. Spoiler free, so as per usual, we'll be giving our thoughts and our wishes on our hopes as you walk to the cinema, and then our immediate thoughts as we walk from the cinema seats and the doors.
Yes, it's a good episode. And then we're going to do favourite 90s films volume 2. It's been a long time coming, that one.
I went through every single theatrical release since 1990 to 1999. Went through every single bloody film, picked out all the ones that I liked. So I've got hundreds of honourable mentions, but I've managed to whittle it down to, I think, 5 or 6 that I'm going to be talking about, and it's really enjoyable. In fact, so enjoyable, in fact, I think you've even got Volume 3 and Volume 4 mapped out.
There's a reason why I didn't talk about some of the films I'd watched in our 3-week break, is because I've been doing homework. Watched some proper left field stuff, and that's going to appear on my list, favourite 90s films. I'm looking forward to digesting that one, and I've got a death count for each film, and I'm probably going to round up my death count by the end of the episode.
Oh, brilliant.
It's quite bleak, but it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed that homework. And of course, I watched Deep Blue Sea eventually. It took 3-4 years of you setting me that piece of homework. Finally got there.
You turned in that assignment, and we're here to see exactly what you thought of that film.
I think so much so. We're probably going to do a film review of that.
Yeah, retrospective.
1999. Samuel L. Jackson.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah, it's got Michael Rappaport in it as well, who I quite like.
LL Cool J.
Yeah, unsung hero for me.
Defo. Yeah.
So looking forward to running that one. Of course, October. I don't quite know what we've got mapped out yet, but we'll do a Halloween special.
Volume 4?
Yeah, I don't know what that looks like yet. I have no idea.
I don't think I'm ready to go on a ghost hunt.
No, I mean, especially after the last 3 years of us digesting.
Talking about it alone is scary enough. I think actually going out in the field and recording live just strikes fear into my heart.
We'll figure out what Volume 4 looks like.
They do ghost tours in Portsmouth. I wonder whether one year we should do an interview with the people who run it. That'd be really good.
I could try and reach out to Dan or his brother from Southern Ghost Society.
Yeah, maybe that'd be a good one.
Lee, yeah, Dan and Lee from Southern Ghost Society.
Let us know, guys, if you're fascinated to hear either from people that run a business based on ghost tours in Southsea, then let us know. Or if you want to hear from the people that actually run it as a regular activity and some of their stories. I mean, I definitely won't sleep if they've got stuff to share.
No,
but that might be interesting though.
Yeah, I mean, we always have a hard time sleeping after those episodes.
Oh man, tell me about it.
Some creepy ass shit in that.
Yeah, let's see if that's something we could do this year.
Yeah,
cool.
I'll reach out, see what happens.
Let us know, listener, if you want either of those.
And if you want to get in touch, we're on Facebook, Twitter, or X, whatever it's called now. Instagram, Threads, TikTok. Handle is @OnTheTopicPod, and we've got Gmail, which is onthetopicpodcast@gmail.com. And this episode, I'm not so rusty, Alex, but we've got YouTube and WordPress.
Yes, indeed. WordPress is our website, so it's onthetopicpodcast.wordpress.com. Go have a look at our ugly mugs, our bios. Our whole back catalogue is on there if you don't have a podcast player of preference. And we've got a newsletter, so you can subscribe and you can be notified when we drop these lovely episodes. And on YouTube, yes, it's all on there. So we're now up to date. So every episode that we will release via this audio format will also be on that platform. The handle is @OTTGITS. On topic, get in the sea. Or just search for On Topic Podcast. And it's all on there for you to listen to, subscribe, and to listen and watch kind of at your leisure.
You've got no excuses.
Definitely not.
For another week, I am web slinging out into my Chicago restaurant to talk about films to be buried with. I've been Dan.
Wow, he's good, isn't he? And I'm going to be putting on my dive gear and catching fish and then serving it at a sushi restaurant. I'm Alex.
And we'll see you next time.